So I was asked a couple of really good questions recently to do with challenging fear foods. The first one is, how do you choose which foods to challenge? And the second one is, how long do you keep challenging your fear foods? So I'm going to talk about both of those today, and I'll start with the first one. So, how do you choose which foods to challenge? So I remember when I started recovery over a year ago, I had so many foods that I was afraid to eat. Honestly, the list would overwhelm me, and I'd go to the kitchen wanting to challenge myself for breakfast, and I'd look at the cereals and the bread and all the different options, and I'd be paralyzed because of all the thoughts in my head. Everything seemed so scary, and then I couldn't decide, and I'd just resort to my safe option. But you can't recover on your safe foods, and I knew that. So I knew that had to change, and I needed to challenge myself. So I started by doing some planning. I wrote up a list that I have here, and I actually haven't looked at for a long time, but I divided a page into 3 columns: slightly scary, moderately scary, and extremely scary, with the plan of working through them, starting mainly in the slightly scary column and working up to the super scary foods. And each time I challenged a food, like truly challenged, so no compensating allowed, I would put a tick next to it. When I looked at this list, even within the slightly scary column, it was huge. And I was like, how? How do I choose from those foods? So I think there are a few options. So one of them is to start with the foods that cause you the most inconvenience. So for example, my mum would often cook potato for dinner, like mashed potato, roasted potatoes, or like my dad cooks roasted potatoes every Friday. It was really annoying for everyone for me to be like, can I have something else? So I started there because one of the aims of my recovery is to join in with people, so that made sense. Also, just choose the food that you most want to eat. At the beginning of my recovery, I craved cereal, like a lot of cereal. I wanted the sugary stuff, Cocoa Pops, I wanted Nutri-Grain, I wanted lots of things. And cereal was also quite a good one because I knew that I liked eating that a lot as a child, so eating foods that you enjoyed as a child can be scary yet comforting at the same time, I guess. Anyway, so I was sick of thinking about Cocoa Pops all the time, so I started having that for breakfast. Another option is to just go absolutely all in, expose yourself to the food that you're most scared of. So when you look at your list, which food is your eye drawn to, and is your head saying, don't eat that, it's impossible, you can't eat that, no, choose something else, go to the other column, go to another food, just do not eat that. Opposite actions, eat that food. And the benefit of eating the really scary foods first is that then the less scary foods I found were much easier to challenge. But I didn't really find that it worked the other way around. Like, I didn't find that eating the slightly scary foods helped me that much with the super scary foods, unfortunately. But eating something like I had here, my dad's potatoes, which are like oily roasted potatoes, delicious, and they were super scary to me. Eating something like that meant that eating like boiled potatoes or mashed potatoes was easier. Yeah, but it didn't really work that well the other way around. It might for some people, but it didn't really for me. And the final option that I used a lot at the beginning of my recovery, and I still use sometimes now, is to let fate decide in a way. So you could ask someone else, ask a friend, family member, or I would like choose 6 foods and assign them a number 1 to 6 and then roll a dice and choose that way. Or you could use a random number generator, or best option again, if you're trying to decide between like a few of them, eat them all. You can do that. You can have all of them. Honestly, I would do that a lot too. Or I'd like roll the dice, start off with one challenging food, and then be like, oh, but I'm still thinking about the other food that I didn't have. Like I had these Cocoa Pops, but I'm still thinking about this chocolate bar. Have them both. So I really want to emphasize in this video though, that you can plan all you want, but planning is not going to get you to recovery. It's not going to help you recover, unfortunately. I have this list here. I also have like a list of behaviors from slightly scary to super scary. I also have another list from earlier in my recovery. Like I have a lot of lists, but none of these lists will help unless I actually do the actions. Actions are what are gonna rewire your brain. Actions are what's gonna prove to you that you can eat a food and still be okay afterwards. So honestly, it doesn't really matter where you start as long as you actually do start somewhere, anywhere. Now, start now. Like go grab a snack that scares you a little bit and just get going. And keep going again and again, and I had so many foods that I was afraid of that honestly every snack, every meal at the beginning of my recovery was a challenge. It was really hard, but I'm really glad that I did it because it means that I have a lot more freedom now. I still have some foods to challenge. On the whole, I'm a lot more free with food. We're gonna have a little break now, an intermission, so you can go grab a scary snack and I will do it too. I already texted my sister and asked her for a suggestion, and she told me to get a pink ice bun, so I'm gonna have that, you have your snack, and let's go. Done. This is my snack, which is a pink ice bun. I definitely wouldn't have chosen this myself, so my sister choosing it means that I will give it a shot. Tempted to stop halfway, but we're not doing that. Eat the whole thing, no matter what your head is saying. So the second question is, how long do I keep challenging my fear foods? The answer is until the fear is gone, until I can eat the food without feeling anxious or feeling guilty. So that might take only a few times, it might take 100 times, and it is hard, but it's worth it. I guess the next question is, well, how do I know when I have finished challenging a food and I'm not afraid of it anymore? I can't really answer that for you. You have to think about how you're feeling when you eat the food beforehand and afterwards. But for me, I know in my experience, like for example with peanut butter, I don't feel anxious eating it beforehand. I don't feel guilty after eating it. I can eat it in a variety of situations. I can have it on different things. I can have it in bread, on bread, in a sandwich. I can have it in peanut sauce with pad thai. I can just spoon it out of the jar. I can have it in varying amounts. I could have my mum spread it on a bagel for me, or I could spread it liberally myself. And I also don't crave it like I used to. Like, I used to think about peanut butter a lot and I would always want it. And I think that's a sign that your body thinks that food is still scarce, and so you probably need to keep eating it a lot and challenging it. It took me a long time to get to the point that I'm at now, and I still eat a lot of peanut butter because I love it. But sometimes I don't eat it for a few days and I don't think about it. I forget that it's in the pantry, and it's amazing. I didn't actually think I would get to that point, but you do. It's taken a long time. I've gone through many kilogram jars of Pix peanut butter. So now peanut butter isn't a food that I challenge, but I still eat it regularly because I love it, and also because if I cut it out, I would just become afraid of it again. Even once you've challenged a food, I think you really have to keep it in your diet, even if the challenge aspect is gone. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for asking questions, for leaving comments. Yeah, I really love hearing from you, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you're challenging yourself. I know that challenging foods are really hard, and I've only addressed a little bit of the picture here, and the other huge part is actually doing the challenges and coping with the anxiety and the guilt beforehand and afterwards. And I think I'll have to do another video on that. But the main takeaway, just start somewhere, anywhere, challenge yourself and eat a lot, do it repeatedly. Actions are what's gonna help you. Lots of love to you, and I'll record again soon. Bye.